Hello, writers. Welcome to this week's Writers Toolshed sentence template video. We're looking at template number 18. Sophie, sitting on the big friendly giant's hand, peeped out of the cave. From Roald Dahl, The Big Friendly Giant. So in this sentence, what is the purpose of this sentence structure? You notice we have our subject, Sophie, and we have the main verb, peeped. She's peeping out of the cave. And then we have this phrase in the middle. We have her sitting on the big friendly giant's hand. And the purpose is to show the subject in motion. So she's doing her main action, which is to peep out, but she's already doing something else too, which is sitting on the big friendly giant's hand. And you can see the structural breakdown here. Sophie, comma, so that's the subject. We set it aside with a comma, and we don't have our main verb until all the way on the other side of the comma. So we have this whole phrase, which is called a participial phrase, in the middle of the two commas. It's called a participial, which is essentially a verb. And so you notice this phrase starts with an ing verb. And that's going to be important later on as you're going to be creating your own. So let's compare. Sophie, sitting on the big friendly giant's hand, peeped out of the cave. We don't have to have that phrase at all, right? We could just say, Sophie peeped out of the cave. But then we would picture something completely different. We would picture her standing on the ground, which is the normal way that someone would be, and then looking out of the cave. But she's in this interesting and strange position. She's sitting on someone's hand, the big friendly giant's hand. So we could do it like this way. We could say, Sophie sat on the big friendly giant's hand. She peeped out of the cave. But again, as we've been talking about this whole time, that gives a more kind of disjointed structure. So to put it together, to make it flow, we use this ing phrase that sits in between these two parenthetical commas. So let's practice this a little bit. How do you do this expanding process? We have this base sentence, and you're going to see this later on in your homework. Bolton looked at his watch. I have my subject right here, and I have my verb right there. And in order to create the sentence structure that follows the template, I need to add in my commas. So Bolton, comma, this comma goes right after the subject there. And what else is Bolton doing? I'm going to say that Bolton is eating a cheeseburger. Eating a cheeseburger. And I can make this phrase basically as long as I want. Eating a cheeseburger that dripped mustard all over his tie. And then I have to close the phrase with that other comma at the end. Looked at his watch. Bolton, eating a cheeseburger that dripped mustard all over his tie, looked at his watch. I can do this in lots of different ways. So inside these two magical commas, I can create, a whole many versions of the same sentence, many different meanings that can all fit within these commas. So I could say Bolton shooting lasers from his eyes at the monster that was approaching him, comma, looked at his watch. I could say Bolton, and then another ing verb, jumping 100 feet in the air, looked at his watch. Bolton, wishing he were not at school, looked at his watch. So anything can go inside these two little commas here. And so you can have a lot of fun with the kind of sentence that you create. It's your turn to give it a try. You're going to be expanding sentences just like I did to show you. You'll use your Writer's Toolshed word for each sentence. You'll have the base sentence. You'll be able to think, okay, hey, what else is the subject doing? What other action am I going to put in there for my ing verb? And then you'll expand the sentence by adding those two commas and putting in the participial phrase in the middle of the sentence. Okay, give it a try. Create some gorgeous sentences for me.